All right. Looks like we are live here.
Hey, JB, your camera's not on.
See what we got going on here. Perfect. All righty. Good morning. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Good evening. Wherever you're at in the world, we're glad to have you here. Go ahead and throw in the chat where you are tuning in from. And if this is your first day with us or you've been rocking with us for the last 3 days and today being day 4, you're back for more. So go ahead and share that in the chat where you're tuned in from, how long you've been with us for, and where are you at in the course? Where are you at in the course? Where are you at in building your AI marketing agency? Where are you in getting your operating system, your platform, your white label software up and running? Let me know in the chat. We're going to be streaming here on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, as well as YouTube. I primarily check the Facebook business page. So if you go to facebook.com/high level reviews, I'll look at that comment section on the live stream as well as on the YouTube. I'll also be looking at the live stream comments on the YouTube. So feel free to jump in there. Just going to check a couple quick systems here to make sure we got everything up and running. All right. This part's good to go. And let's see, this part here is good to go as well. All right. So streaming is set, agenda is set. Welcome to all the new folks that have just received access to our Facebook group. If you're not familiar with it, you may have not fully signed up yet for the 5-day challenge. We do find that folks will find out about the 5-day challenge. They'll see it either on YouTube, Facebook, or one of the social platforms. They'll follow along with us from a distance, but they never really sign up fully. So you want to go to gohighlevel.com/5DC offer, get signed up for the 5-day challenge, because part of that actual sign up, you get a whole bunch of assets, including the snapshot, instructions, the membership course, and then access to our Facebook group, where in the Facebook group, folks are jumping in, they're introducing themselves, they're commenting, they're sharing, they're working with each other to get everything set up. So if you've joined already, go ahead and introduce yourself, and we're glad to have you here on the journey. Okay. So what we're going to be going over today is day 4, which is everything fulfillment. So I want you to just picture here. I want you to picture here, you've done all the setup of your system. You understand how it works. You've created a sales conversations with people on, your Dream 100, familiar faces, familiar friends online, maybe friends that you haven't talked to in a while that you're re-engaged with. Maybe you've attended some networking events online. Maybe you're just doing some content curation and sharing it and attracting people to comment, like, and get to know you. And all of that has led to the sales demo. You've completed the sales demo. They have committed to doing business with you. And now it's getting them what they paid for, right? They gave you money. Now it's like, my product, let's get it moving, right? So we're going to talk about the client onboarding process. We're going to also speak about having your client log in and drive through the process, and then how to go about training and adjusting the AI assistant. And then by the end of this live session here, you'll learn how to fulfill on all the services you sold and promised to your client. Now, this live session is in addition to the training in the membership course under the university tab. So both of these will fill any gaps that you may have along the way. And as I mentioned before, if you have not officially signed up for the 5-day challenge, this is the website to do so. If you already have an account with us, you can still go to that website, still sign up for the challenge, and then receive all the assets, the ads, the playbooks, the Facebook organic content we put together, the PowerPoint slides, all the good stuff that we've put here for you to promote your AI executive assistant service. And as we go through this lesson today, I want you to feel comfortable and be excited about understanding how to set the right expectations, um, being able to learn the systematic way of onboarding, right, with our checklist, and then setting the stage for ascension, essentially getting them so excited and pumped up and seeing a result from what you promised that you were going to give them, and then they want more. So we're going to go over how to get them to want more. And you've probably seen this a couple of times by now. We were at the gateway offer where we're talking about the initial AI functionality, the service, the bells and whistles that it offers. They then said, hey, look, what else can I do to go ahead and complement that AI? I want more. And then, that core offer now becomes that monthly recurring revenue. We're looking at it like the utility bill. It's something that once you have it, you don't want to turn it off because it'll impact the business, and you want to keep that flowing the way it is. And then we spoke about, obviously expanding, giving great service, guiding them seeing the results, our customers seeing the results, and them wanting more, and maybe adding on reputation management, maybe adding on social media management, maybe redoing their entire website. All these additional services within high level, whether you co-label it or you white label it, either or, you have the functionality to turn on and off what you want to sell in addition to what you have. And if for some reason things don't go as planned, or there's changes in their business and they need to remove some products, well, you still have your downsell offer, which is still that AI executive assistant. So this here really allows you to stay within your customer's business and really be able to share value with strategy and functionality of the services you offer. So there's a couple different ways you could show high level to a potential new customer. Oh, well, let me rephrase that. There's many ways to show high level to your customer, right? Because they're your customer now. What we like to teach is, in addition to the AI executive assistant, it's important that they know some of the other parts of the software. So we like to discuss pipelines. Pipelines and how they work is a nice seed to plant, because maybe they're in sales, maybe they have sales flows that, whether they're in real estate, whether they're selling a product, a professional service, their customers go through a certain stages, from prospect all the way to existing customer to maybe additional services. So we like to show that. We like to show the forms and surveys on how they embed themselves into the platform, because once you put name, phone number, email, and all this personal information about your customer on one of these forms or surveys, it ties right into high level. And then that information, which is centrally located within the platform, can be used for other things, whether it's two-way conversations, referring back to other offers or other notifications, or going in depth more with maybe if they're a customer of a product, and that product now has new launches, and you want to get those email marketing campaigns to them to know what's new. And then as we continue on, we also want to share the calendars. More and more as the years go by, it seems like everyone is adopting the calendar. Everyone is taking more control of their time. At least the successful folks are, right? And that's who we want to attract: successful people that respect their time, my time, your time. So we want to show them that, hey, look, if you're using a calendar already, that's great. Our calendar is a bit more robust, but also it's interconnected within your platform that you'll be using day to day. And you could use that data in many different ways to retain your clients, or expand, or make it just more efficient and easier for them to do business with you. Whether it's requesting a call back, whether it's attending a webinar, or whether it's just scheduling their one-to-one call with you for follow-ups. And then the next is the funnels. The funnels is a term that is popular within the marketing industry. And those funnels really help make it easy for someone to consume information, take action. Consume more information, take the next action, right? And then at the end of at the end of that action, maybe consume a little bit more information and say, hey, here's another offer if you want to grow or do more of this service that we have. And those funnels are all customizable within High Level. You'll get full control over them. You could create your own, or you can modify and edit templates within. And then lastly is the workflows. The workflows allow you to automate different tasks, whether it's reminders to make a phone call, whether it's sending voicemail drops, whether it's sending out emails after step one is complete. Whatever it is that you would like to do that you normally would do manually, you can automate that most of the time within High Level. And I'd like to kind of walk you through the visual on this, just so that way you can really get a more tactical view on how this works. So let me share my screen here real quick, and we will jump in it. So, as I mentioned before, the pipelines was the first one. So in order to get to those pipelines, you want to click on the Opportunities tab. And it's going to be so important, folks, depending on your experience now and or experience just in general with software or with sales as a sales call process. You want to just practice getting to these areas so that way it looks smooth on your end when you're doing it in front of your customer, or when you're teaching them how to do it themselves. So we'll go to opportunities. Opportunities is broken up into two areas. You have your opportunities, and then you have your pipelines. Your pipelines is pretty much, look at it as a fresh sheet of paper that's going to be dedicated to one focus. So this fresh sheet of paper here is dedicated to onboarding, our onboarding pipeline. So when I go to opportunities, I go to that onboarding pipeline. Everything here is related to the onboarding pipeline. So from paid invoice to new customer status to onboarding call was booked to onboarding call was attended to onboarding was complete. I can move these clients from stage to stage so that way I know where my customer base is, where I need to direct my attention to, right? So this is for new customers that we've collected, and right, and paid invoice. The other tab here that we have created is the sales pipeline. And the sales pipeline has everything to do with that pre-stage before they exchange money with us. So let's say, for example, they went onto our website, they went onto our social media, they contacted us somehow, and they booked an appointment. So that sales call was booked. And after it was booked, they attended, which is great. After they attended, we had a great conversation. We got a verbal yes, which was great. And then let's say a few days later, they made a payment, which is great. And we're able to move these folks, as you can see here, little by little, as needed, from one stage to another. And if you come across the need to add additional, you can go to Create New Pipeline and add those pipeline name and stages as needed. And what's really nice about this pipeline stage, and I like to let customers know, is that when you click on it, it opens up the contact details, gives you all the pertinent information you need. You can add and manage fields. You have additional links to settings. You have an overview of the booking and updating of appointments, any tasks associated, and any notes that you want to include. So really it's all here. There's not too much any clicking back and forth once they're in the opportunity section of what you have, right? So if you like what you see there, it makes sense. You see the value. You maybe are adding it to your to-do list just to maybe learn a little bit more. Like I've mentioned before, it's always important as you learn new things within Go High Level, just refer back to the support portal by going to help.gohighlevel.com, and let's just type in pipeline. And what we'll see here is that there's a handful of related documents with pipelines. I'll click step-by-step guide for creating pipelines. There's steps, there's videos, there's screenshots. Everything is here. Just like I went over with you, I had to learn this myself, and part of my learning was the help documents and doing it. So you'll have to do the same, and your customers will have to do the same as well, as they do business with you. Okay. So we're going to move on here to forms and surveys, right? Forms and surveys. And now forms and surveys are within the sites section. All right. They're in the sites section, and sometimes that throws people off, right? But we try to consolidate this sidebar here where most of the features are within one tab that are related. So site section, and let's start with the forms. We'll go to the forms, and as we go to the forms, you'll notice that there's additional details associated. So we'll go to the builder. This will allow us to build a form from scratch or from a template, and it all depends on our industry. So we can do a template from our industry. And then as we go through our industry, we're able to customize that with the information we want to collect. So, typically less is more, but you always want to obviously make sure you have name, phone number, email. If it's like a contact us form, you want to give a space for message, right? So that's here. And you're able to create that again from scratch or within. And then as we go to analyze will share, our submissions. It'll break down our forms. It'll break down the submissions with the forms. So we'll have an overview on that. We have our date range. And then lastly is the actual submissions. So the actual submissions for all forms will be default, but we can pick on individual forms to see specifically what is in those sections. And typically when you open this up, it has all the information here. It even shows, how they found you, the source, any documentation regarding URL referencing, IP address, so on and so forth is here as well. So everything's all in one, right? And typically maybe you purchase a Leadpages or a Jot form or some sort of form service that you embed into your WordPress, or maybe you get a WordPress plugin. And sometimes these WordPress plugins get decommissioned, and then like you have to run and get a new one or buy one. So what's really nice about this is that everything is evergreen, it's working, and it's within your system. So you're always either passing by it or using it in some way. So it's always top of mind. And just think about this. You probably have some softwares or some services that you don't use every day. You forget them, right? Just running through the flow of the day. And then a day turns into a week turns into a month. And then next thing you know, you forgot that you had this service that's supposed to do ABC, and you've been paying for it and you haven't used it. So this all-in-one experience really keeps everything where it needs to be frequently, right? So we'll go to surveys now. Surveys has the same concept. You can add a survey. We'll go to the template. And surveys are really nice if you are in a coaching business, really pretty much any business, right? And the purpose of the survey is to ask some questions around maybe the service you're providing, the experience they had, maybe what they would like to see more of. Maybe it's internal for employees, maybe it's external for just customers or for vendors. You have that flexibility. The key thing to remember here is that the survey flow is designed to be smooth, and we have a couple of ways you could set up your surveys, whether it's a one-sheeter, like all on one sheet, or if it's like question new, like a slider. So you have that flexibility. And as you go and use the survey, again, same concept where it feeds into the section there to have a full control view, and you can be notified, or you can use when that is submitted to take another step on its own to do something else. So that is available for you. And again, we're always adding new templates and new styles to this. All right. So next section here that I want to touch on that I mentioned before was the calendars. Again, as you click on calendars on the left, we have that top toolbar. We have the actual calendar that you could book an appointment. And then, with the appointment you're booking, there's a handful of details here from time zone, just pretty pretty standard with all calendar systems. You need to block off time. If you want to see a list of your appointments that you have scheduled, whether it's across your calendar or other staff members' calendars, and maybe you want to print that out and use that, or if you're a hair salon, print it out, put it on the desk. If you're whatever service business you're in, or any type of business, you can print that out and use it. And then we have the calendar settings. So like, check this out here, right? I click calendar settings, and then like a whole new window with whole new tabs pops up, right? So, there's different types of calendars, right? There's a lot of in-depth customization here when it comes to groups, service menu, rooms, equipment. This is where I really recommend you going to the help.gohighlevel.com, typing in calendar settings within that guide, taking some time to really learn it, because there's a lot of customization, but also settings that you need to be familiar with for it to work the way you want it to work. And then you have some preferences within the app, some widgets, your availability, connections, so that way it syncs with Google, with your local service ads, so on and so forth. And then on the top here, there's always, what's new with the calendar, because the calendar is a on-demand type of feature here that many of our clients and marketing companies use and software companies use for their business. We always are putting updates and making changes, so we make that easy to find. Okay. Next was the funnels. So we'll go back to the main toolbar here. We'll go to sites. We'll go to funnels on the top left. Within funnels, we can create a new funnel. I'll go to an existing funnel. And if you used any other funnel software in the past, this is built around that same concept, where it's easy to plug and play the information, the next steps, the split testing, the page formatting. It's really right there for you to edit and adjust as needed. And as you start, going through these pages, there's stats. If you have sales that are going through these pages, security, events, any tracking you need to do, and then settings. So all of that is right there, right in front of you to take action. And then you could share a funnel. And then there's, what is the funnel URL and how do you, go live with it? So this is a very important part to our marketing partners, as well as to our end users and the customers of our marketing partners. Funnels are pretty popular. So that's how you use it. That's where you go. Last is the workflows. Workflows are within the automation tab. They're within the automation tab. And when you click on create a workflow, you have an option for from scratch or a recipe. Recipes are pre-made workflows that you can go ahead and just turn on right away. And when you click on these workflows, let's just say we do the missed call text back for WhatsApp. It'll start with a trigger. It'll continue with follow-ups as needed. And it'll kind of walk you through each thing. You have the settings, so on and so forth. So everything's pretty much here. And again, I want to revert back to this and remind you, you go to the help.gohighlevel.com. You can type in workflows. When we type in workflows, it walks you through what you need to know for those workflows, right? So let me know how that was for you. Did that answer some questions that you might have had? Right? Did that cover some areas that maybe you need a little bit more walkthrough on? Is there something you're excited about to show during your onboarding call to your new customer that may excite them and say, look, I want to also do that, or, oh, I didn't know that was there? Go ahead and throw that in the chat. I want to give a shout out to Lewis Johnson from Texas, Nooney from California. We got Eva from Denmark, Jay from the UK, Jojo from London. Handful of people here that are tuned in, engaging, sharing. Appreciate you. We got Serena Dingus from Tennessee. We have Vaibhav from India. Glad to have you on our YouTube feed. Okay, let's get to the next set of instructions here for y'all. Pull this up here. All right. And slideshow. Okay. So, when we get into the onboarding customer experience walkthrough, it's important that we touch on three things. One, onboarding has to happen within 72 hours because time is money and we want to get the customers engaged right away. So they see results, they feel happy, and they have a sense of completion for what they've committed to. Next, when doing onboarding, whether it's side-by-side in person or virtually, you want the client to be in control. So if it's side-by-side, they hold on to the mouse or they're using the mouse pad. If it's virtually, they're sharing their screen, they're driving on their screen, and you're sharing instructions verbally to them, right? And then you want to make sure you're bookmarking all the different login pages so that way they could just click and go. A lot of the holdback for non-techie customers is I'm not techie and I don't know where the link is and I forgot it and whatever. You want to make it super easy where they can almost do this with their eyes closed. So while doing that, there are a couple links I recommend you do. One, you want to make sure they have Google Chrome installed. You also want to make sure that they're aware that if they use a lot of extensions on Google Chrome, it does affect the speed and the result of some of our features. Some of these extensions on Google Chrome they're poorly created, and it affects the flow of Chrome in general. And you'll probably notice that some of the extensions that you've used before, they've gone away because people either reported that they're not good or they don't no longer are compatible. If you want to get Google Chrome open for them, put that on the desktop. You want to make a folder within the Google Chrome tab, create a folder, and you want to make sure you're bookmarking your white label version of the high-level operating system for your customers. So maybe yours is app.gogomarketing.com. Maybe it's app.aimarketingusa.com. Whatever it is, you want that to be bookmarked. And then you want to bookmark the Lead Connector white labeled solutions guide. You want to make sure you add that because that's like the help.gohighlevel.com, but it's the Lead Connector version. And Lead Connector is what the name of the app is that your customer would download. And they become familiar with Lead Connector. It's very general. It doesn't tie back to high level unless they are familiar with high level and Lead Connector. And then you want to make sure that whether they're on Google, they have Google Play or Apple Store, they download the mobile app and they log in. So this is a big part of the ramp up, getting it bookmarked and getting them on the app. Once they're on the app, they're on the run. They can see the conversations tab. They can manage any appointments. They can manage their opportunities and pipelines. They can manage their reviews and reputation while on the run from the app. So you want to make sure they're aware of how to use that. And it's going to take some practice on your end to be able to teach it. Right? So I put some notes together here. We're going to do a little bit more of a live walkthrough here. So that way we can give you the step-by-step versus just the visual. But feel free to take a screenshot of this. So I want you to just imagine where we're at now in the process. Customers paid us. We've set up a time to connect with them on this screen share for tomorrow. But today we need to create their sub account. We have to create their account within our high level. So that way, when we meet them tomorrow, we're good to go. They have login access. Okay. So let's get into that. Let's get into creating the account for them. So what we'll do here is we're going to log in to our agency view. me just maximize this. Okay. We're going to log into our agency view of high level, right? And then we're gonna navigate here to the sub accounts tab. We're gonna click on create a sub account, right? And depending on the business, you could go ahead and pick their industry. So let's just say, for example, here we're working with a bookkeeper, right? All right, let's just say it's bookkeepers on call that we're working with. I found them on Google. I confirm that that's them. I'll click here. And I'm going to plug in the information here. General business information is already listed. I just want to confirm that all this information is correct. Here, the industry. We'll just do financial consultant, right? They have a website. We want to put their website. And last, one of the most important is the time zone. This is their time zone. So within high level, time zone plays a big part on how actions, triggers, automations, calendar events, if something happens or if it doesn't, is based off the time zone of the sub account. Because think about this, you have a handful of clients throughout the country and you're sending text messages at 3 a.m. to somebody because they're in California and you're like, oh, I was trying to do it, for Eastern time because, these customers of mine are aware of what was happening this morning at our business, right? Or reminders, etc. So you want to make sure that you're putting the right time zone so that way they get notified respectfully. So after you create that, that'll open up this section here. If you are on the 497 plan, the SaaS plan, agency SaaS plan, you'll have different features up here that you can use to rebill and to control different items within the account. But for this purpose, for general, we're just going to go to switch to sub account. Switch to sub account, right? So as we switch to the sub account, we now want to go ahead and give access to our customer to the sub account. So now we're in the sub account, bookkeepers on call. We're going to go to settings. We're going to go to my staff. We're going to go to add employee. We're going to plug in okay. So in this section here, what's really important here is making sure the email that you use is the email that they'll be using every time, because there's two-factor authentication that's required here. So they'll want to be able to, have access to the email and the phone number, so they can pick a two-factor authentication through email or through text. You want to go ahead and create a temporary password for them. And then once they get access, they'll be able to, or you'll be able to work with them on creating a calendar, maybe adding their signature, all that good, all those details. So the user's been created. When that user is created, an email goes out to that user with a welcome message. So that way they then can click on the link and log in. Okay. And within the My Staff area, the user section, you can click and go back. You can see that this has been added. You can click on edit. Let's say they didn't get the verification email. You can click to resend it again. But I want to show you a few things here that are very important, and that's around roles and permissions. So roles and permissions, you want to make sure that your customer, let's say the owner of the business or your main point of contact, has admin access. And then for their staff, you can add user access. And then with the user access, you can limit what they can access and what actions they can take. So there's additional flexibility here when it comes to roles and permissions. And then on this left side, you can add additional settings around notifications. You want them to be notified in the app, email, or text, or all of the above. And you could pick specifically what you want them to be notified for. Some people prefer just certain types of notifications on certain types of devices or forms. So you have that flexibility. And these are good conversations to have during the onboarding call as well. Okay. And, obviously your customer having access to this is important. And typically when you set this up one way, they need to reset their password or can't get in. It's usually very easy to get back in. Any questions on that? Go ahead and throw in the chat if you have any questions. The chat, and I can cover those. Let me pull up here my chat here. All right. Boom. Starting my JHL. Very okay. Cool. Looks like we're all on pace here. Excellent. Sweet. Pretty easy stuff, right? I feel like the days 1 through 4 were just a little bit more complicated. We're just getting into some of the basic features and functions here to get our customers in. So let's talk about part 2, which is the AI chat widget setup for clients. And before we do that, I want to just direct your attention to the course for a moment. So like I mentioned before, if you've been joining us through live, whether it's Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and haven't officially signed up for the 5-day challenge, well, you'll need to do that. So that way you get access to the 5-day AI challenge university course. And in that university course, when you go to day 4, you'll have a video here that walks you through the technical setup that I went through at your pace. You can slow it down. You can go back as needed. So what we went over now is the sub-account setup. What we're going to touch on right now is the AI widget setup for your clients. So now this is where the onboarding call goes. And you're going to need to have some practice so you're familiar and you know kind of where to drive and go and how to go through this. So let me go ahead and change my screen here so we can jump right into that. Okay. So with the AI chat widget, we need to first enable the conversation AI. So we need to first enable conversation AI. And we got to do that under the agency settings. So we want to go to the agency view. Okay. When we're in the agency view, we want to go to settings. We want to go to conversation AI. We want to find our bookkeepers on call sub account. Want to enable it so it's already on. Perfect. Then we want to jump into our bookkeepers on call sub account. Okay. And while I'm here, I want to go to settings for the sub account, I want to go to Conversation AI. I'm in Conversation AI now. Okay. We want to make sure that we start with the Preferences tab. We want to go to Autopilot. We want to click on Autopilot. And for the challenge here, let's say, for example, let's just say for this initial customer, we want to do the live chat. We want to do the live chat because that's where we're going to be able to put the chat widget on their website and it work immediately. What will have to be done, if you want to add SMS, you'll need to go through the lead connector validation process to set up the two-way text messaging. If you want to add Instagram or Facebook, you will need to go into the integrations and connect Instagram and Facebook. If you want to use Google Business Profile, you'll need to go into the Google Business Profile integration section and connect it. And if you don't do any of those, just keep it on live chat. That's just working off of the website. All right. So you've got that set up there. Right. Next thing we want to do here is scroll down to autopilot mode. I like to change this to 1 minute, but it's pretty quick. If you do 5 minutes, that's the time that it'll take when it receives the message to respond to the message. The maximum message is the total amount of messages that you'll respond back to, unless you mark them all as read. And if you hover over the little eye here, the circle, it'll share that information I just did. And this is like a guardrail where if you get some spammers or you have someone that's just gonna run up your messages, you can limit them and then you could jump in as needed to take it from there. So I say 20 or 15 is a fair amount of back and forth before you have to jump in. And then you can send the bot to sleep when you start to engage manually in the chat. If you're not going to plan on engaging frequently through conversations, I recommend maybe setting this for an hour, or even let's say 30 minutes, because think of it like this. Let's say you're running some ads or you just have a busy website with people on there. You might have someone reach out to you while you're talking to somebody else a few minutes later. And if they don't get, if you have it at 30 minutes, then they're not going to hear from you for another 30 minutes. That could affect, the speed to lead. So just think through those different elements, and you could adjust as needed. Right. And it is 2 cents a message when doing the Conversation AI through the live chat. You can upgrade to the unlimited plan if your client is going to be using more. And maybe your client is paying you $397 a month. So your operating cost for this client is $78, right? So you're still in the win, and you have that freedom of them using as many messages as they want. So that's something also to think through, right? So this is the initial settings here. This is important. The next here is the bot training. So I'm going to see if this website, I'm just going to pick this one here. I'm just going to pick this website here. Right. So next thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to this website. Let's pretend this is my customer. And I'm going to go to the bot training tab. And I'm going to plug in the URL. And then so there's a couple different ways to do this. You could just have the bot scrape this URL. So I'll do that. It's going to fetch the information from that URL. And as it's doing that, just in the back of your mind, you want to make sure your client's website is up to date, that they do have the most relevant information, most updated information, that because not all websites do have everything that customers are looking for. So this is also maybe an opportunity where you need to position questions to get those answers, to then put those questions and answers in the bottom section here of the customized bot responses. So let's say one of the questions that's not answered on the website is, do you work with software companies? Answer, yes, we do. We actually have plenty of experience in this space, right? So that answers that. We'll save that. I don't think that's saved. I'll try again. Okay, so it did save originally. It just took a minute. So, let's just say these are two different questions. They're there and you can edit the answers. And this is an easy way of just kind of keeping the bot up to date. And it's also an easy way for your client to jump in there manually, or their staff to jump in there and do it as well. So that's this manual part. What you could also do is you can create a Google Doc, make sure it's public. And on that public Google Doc, go ahead and put in a question, the question, answer, just like this format here. You save it, and then you take that Google Doc and you add it to the web crawler, and then that'll fetch those questions and answers, and also include it in your uploaded links. It'll also include it in your uploaded links. And again, information is everything here, because that's how the AI executive assistant is going to serve your client's visitors. And as you can see here, one page has been crawled. It's been trained. So we got the green light on that. Okay. What are your thoughts on that? Pretty easy for you to do. Throw it in the chat. Let me know what you think about that. Any questions around it? The settings in itself are pretty straightforward, but if it's new to you and it's new to your client, it's going to require a little bit of practice and muscle memory. So next section I want to show you here is the bot trial. And this is where I just wanted to see what kind of content's on here. This is where you can do a trial with the bot. So let's just say here, what services do you offer? Okay, we offer bookkeeping services and have significant experience with software companies. Need more details on specific service. All right, I like that. We'll go ahead and give that a thumbs up. Do you work with QuickBooks? Yes, we work with QuickBooks. We have plenty of experience using it. Okay, it's a good answer. Why should I hire your company? You should hire us because we have extensive experience working with software companies. We know the ins and outs and can handle all your bookkeeping needs effectively. Okay, all right. Do you work with other companies other than software companies? I'm a plumber. We do work primarily with, okay, so, and we have plenty of experience in that area. I'm not sure if we work with plumbing businesses. So this is not a good answer. This is not a good answer. This is not a good answer. And so here's what's happening here. When I click this, or when I clicked it, it was basing, so for you to understand what just happened here, when you go to bot training, when I put this particular question around just software companies, it confused the bot. And you'll learn this as you go. So I don't want the bot to think I just work with software companies. That's not what I want them to think here. So let's try this now. Let me go back. Got that part. Go to bot trial. Tell me about your company. For register and mobile development, e-commerce, digital marketing, web design, Google Analytics, Excel, and bookkeeping for software companies. So we also great services. Okay, so here's the problem, right? And this is what I was referring to before around the quality of the website. The quality of the website. This website's not completely complete yet. It's like you have some lorem ipsum placeholder, right? You see that here. So the bot doesn't know what this is, right? So it can't answer any questions. It looks like this was a template from a like web design company, WordPress template, and they tried to make it into a bookkeeper's on-call template. So now we definitely need to grab some questions and answers from our client, but we also need to position their website. Like, look, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but I believe maybe the last company you had working on your website, they didn't quite complete it. They didn't quite, do everything from A to Z as maybe they promised. So we should talk about that too. And now you're pivoting into as the expert, the advisor, and fixing these items as well. So this was just an example that kind of popped in here, and I had to pivot. So if I have to pivot, you have to pivot because your customer is going to expect you to do so. So let's keep it moving here. Main takeaway is make sure you take a look at the website of your customer. Make sure that you have the crawler fetch information from it. And then like you can have it go to all the pages. So all URLs in this domain. That's basically all the slash thereafter. It'll also fetch. And then here that you can add question answers as needed. You can upload a Google Doc as long as it's public. It's public. And you've strategically trained your AI bot. And lastly, in this section here, you can configure the intents. So like if appointment booking is something you want to focus on, you can do so here. And there's a handful of custom values, conversation flows, and processes that you can turn on and off and adjust. So what are your thoughts? This is the only area that you need to really focus on when working with the conversation AI training and setup of what it's going to learn and share when it's working on behalf of your clients, right? That's important. Okay. So as we move on here, we're going to take our attention to actually installing the chat widget on the website, right? So there's two ways that you have to install the chat widget on the website. Let's go with an external website already created, whether it's WordPress or any other service. After we set up the conversation AI settings, we're going to go to sites. We're going to go to chat widget. We're going to go to enable chat bubble. We're going to add our logo or preferred image. We're going to change our intro message to, we can do something like, do you have a question you need a fast answer to? Like, we just need to get their eyeballs to that, because typically people have a question they want a fast answer to. So let's get them to know that we can give them the answer fast. If you want to re-engage with visitors that come back to your site, you can customize that where it has their name, or you could avoid it. The chat type, we want to change this to live chat, because that's how we set it up in our conversation settings. If we are going to use SMS, and if we're going to connect email, then we can use this feature. But if these features aren't activated, they're not going to work, and you're not going to have any functionality until they are properly set up. So we go live chat here, go to the widget window. This allows us to do a little bit more customization with the header, the intro message, our CTA, which is like the send button, any legal or consent, any colors, language could be adjusted, any branding. So, adding your maybe your customer's business name, or your customer's business name, or, some providers will just put like their agency's name for their customers there. So that way they maybe could just say, this is powered by so-and-so business for this. The live chat assigned, you have some settings here as well. Jump down to the acknowledgement settings. Again, this is set up, ready to go, but if you want to customize and have control over that, we've unlocked that for you to do that. All right, want to hit save. Make sure you do that, or you'll have to do it all over again. Then we want to go to get it for WordPress. So this will walk you through installing this widget for WordPress. Download, go through the instructions, it'll be up and running, right? But what if they don't have a WordPress website? You can click on get code. You can copy the code, and it'll tell you to put this on the body or the footer of the website, right? For every page you want this to show up, you need to add the code. So if you just want this to show up on the main page, add the code there. You want this to show up on every page, you got to add it on every page. Okay. Any questions? Was this walkthrough easy for you to visualize? Maybe you were doing it on your second screen. Maybe you've done it already. Maybe you've done it and you missed a couple steps because you didn't look at it the same way as we looked at it together now. Let me know in the chat if there was any difference, any gaps. If you have some more clarity, feel more confident with it, because you're going to have to do this for your customer, right? Get this up and running. This is how you get them live. So now I just want to show you the advantage that if your customer uses your website, you can go ahead within your website that you've maybe recreated for them, go to chat widget, and you can click that enable chat bubble, and it'll do so on that website because it's within that tab. So you'll be able to add the chat widget immediately to it. And what's really nice about like the websites within the platform is that, you have the main page, you have all the pages like you would anywhere else. They're easily accessible. You can add custom settings, but then you get like the link in bio, that like digital business card look and feel. So that way you're able to, they're able to share it or add it to their socials. So there's a lot of advantages of introducing this to your clients. So that way they get the full benefit of working with you and how you have your software set up. Okay. Any questions on that? Jot it down in the chat. Let me know. Gonna take a quick peek here to see what we got going on here. Okay. Tanya, with your question, so will we have to log into their web hosting service and add the code? Yes. So you can, or you can just walk them through it, but they'll need to log into their WordPress or their web-based builder and plug that code in. Welcome, Melissa. Can we listen in with the bot for a few seconds? You'll be able to, so when you're in the account or when your clients are in their account, they'll actually be able to observe all the messages coming in and out. And it'll keep doing it on its own until they type something. So as long as they don't type anything or you don't type anything, the bot will keep doing its job. The minute you type something, it's going to stop. Okay. Let's see what we got here. Looks like we covered most of the questions. Awesome. Sweet. So let's continue on here. Let me see what I got on my notes. Okay. So let's get into, let me pull up my slide here. Slideshow. All right. So, onboarding with the initial intake experience is everything. So you want to, obviously chit chat for a bit. You want to have that introduction and overview. You want to make sure your client was able to log into their account. They got their credentials. You want to obviously introduce yourself. If you have someone on your team that's going to be on the call with you, introduce them. Realign on the offer and the goals of why they got this service and what you're going to be doing for them. You want to just kind of recap their business needs that you last took notes on and confirm any new objectives that they have. And just kind of talk about, like, maybe they're starting to launch they have an event coming up. They're starting to launch some ads. They want to convert those ads, by getting certain information, and they want them to then go to a certain website. Like, you should know that, so that way you can create that either workflow and content, questions, answers around that for your client. You want to obviously, understand their target audience and what their use case for the AI chat executive assistant is going to be. You want to there's an onboarding form within the snapshot here with some questions for you to ask. You don't have to ask all the questions. It's just a guide for you to understand their business. And sometimes, depending on your experience and their experience, you may not know the questions to ask, and they may not know what to share with you if you don't ask certain questions or lead them into certain topics. You want to make sure you're collecting their FAQ page. If they don't have one, you want to take a few minutes to create a preliminary version 1 of one. And typically my best advice for that is, understand their business, some of the things that they get asked or request upon in their particular business, and then go ahead and look at some other businesses within that industry and see what they have on their website, what information they're sharing, and maybe you could fill in those gaps by jotting down those questions or asking those questions and putting those answers together. You want to establish a timeline of check-in. You want to let them know you're going to be reaching out frequently. This is what we're looking at for the next 4 weeks. We'll connect once a week just to make sure all is well. I'll also invite you to some of our trainings. I'll maybe send you a pre-recorded video on Loom with some of our results, but you'll be hearing from us often. Then you want to wrap up this conversation with the short Q&A. Hey everyone, thank you all for your time. I just want to prepare us to make our way out the door here. Does anyone have any questions? Anyone have any concerns? Anyone have any thoughts on what we went over? Okay, great. You want to summarize, and what are the next steps? Before you leave, you should have an appointment set up of when you're going to follow up with them. They should understand how to get a hold of you. They should know your hours of operation. They should know what should be considered an emergency. They should really know how you do business. And some of the examples I shared around, like, hours of operation, what's the best email, Do they contact you through your project management? Do they submit a ticket? Do they call you? Do they text you? Those are all important things to be transparent about up front, because here's what happens. They'll start doing what they assume is right or what's convenient for them, and that'll start frustrating you. And you may not be a big fan of someone texting you at 10 p.m. with a question about their product, but you didn't give them everything they need to know on how to get a hold of you or where to get the information. So you want to kind of set those boundaries. And as we went over this, everything is pretty much plug and play. We've complemented the plug and play with resources on how to do everything. So you should have enough knowledge and of everything you need so you can practice and then smoothly make it happen. And we went over, clicking the conversation AI training the bot, right? So next thing I want to go over here is, stop sharing here for a moment. Next thing I want to go over here is we did onboarding the client. We did the bookmarks. Okay. Next thing I want to go over here is collecting payment, right? So, as I've been speaking with folks that are, participating in this AI challenge and others, some folks are getting a little stuck on, how do I collect payment? Do I take a check? Do I take Venmo, Cash App? Do I use my Square? Do I use Stripe? Right? There are many ways, right? But think about what people are used to using and how they're used to doing business. So, they're used to doing business by receiving an invoice. They're used to doing business by maybe signing an agreement. They're used to doing business by maybe having a checkout where they go on your website, they pick a service, and they check out. So keep that in mind. And once you have that in mind, you need to look at, well, whatever way I set up, how is that going to facilitate the money, the actual money transfer? So if you have Square, you have Stripe, you have PayPal, you have Razorpay, whatever you have, we integrate with most. We integrate with most. So I want to just walk you through a visual on how you can set up collecting payment and creating subscriptions and products within High Level. So that way, again, for you, you're using it, which means you could teach it and sell it confidently. So let's go to the payments tab. And let's say this is for our customer that wants to use our payments. Like, hey, John, I love this AI. I'm using QuickBooks, not a big fan of it, but also my biggest issue is that I don't want all my staff in my QuickBooks. Do you have a way that I can have my staff send invoices from your platform? Right. And I say, absolutely. And that comes up a lot. So we've created some guardrails and we've created some easy processes for you to get started right away. Let me walk you through it. So, for what you're doing, we can go to the payments section here. And what I'm showing you here, the configuration's done on the web version, but you could also use on the mobile app the text to pay and the other sending of invoices from the app, which will be great. So let me walk you through this. First thing we need to do is we need to create subscriptions or products or both. So we want to go to the subscriptions tab first, and we want to create subscriptions that you have, right? Then after that, we want to go to the product section, and we want to create products that you have. And that could be one-time products, and that could be like one-time bookkeeping audit. That could be one-time bookkeeping implementation. Could be one-time tax services, whatever it is. It's a one-time product. You could create it here. And when you do that, you're now, so like, let's just say, for example, here, we're going to do we'll do corporate accounts audit. right? So we're going to put some description details here. We could add we could create an image in Canva or through our content AI, or maybe use Adobe, whatever you use, just create an image so it looks professional. That image will go there. Let's say this is part of a bigger collection of products. Maybe this is for corporate audits, and we have different packages with different products within corporate audits. You can create that there. It's a one-time fee of $1,500. That's in USD. Other currencies are there. It's typically $2,500, right? We typically offer 5 of these a month only. And if there's another price or another tier, you can go ahead and add that there like I did here. Add another price, another tier. You can add colors, sizing. You could add the SEO attributes to it as well. But let's just click save here. We'll do a version 1 of this. So we got the corporate accounts audit, the pricing set, the variance. Okay, so we're good to go. Let's go ahead and click save. Now, if you have an existing Stripe or PayPal account, as you can see here, that client of yours can sync with their accounts, Stripe or PayPal, and it can bring in their services, products that they have already, right? So we got the product here. So let's go ahead and start with an invoice. We're going to do a one invoice. We'll go to invoices. We'll click on new. We'll do a new invoice, although we could do a recurring. There's an option there. Here we can add our logo, make sure our business information is correct. We can pick our client from the list, right? You'll need to make sure that the client is added in your account before you're able to see it. Or you could just add one really quick here now. All right, so my information's here. We're going to add an item. We're going to add the corporate accounts audit for $1,500. It automatically included my description, but let's say here I want to add just something else. So we added a bonus for this particular client. We hit save. No discounts. If there's a payment schedule, we'll do this. We'll do 50% upfront due today, and then we'll do the other 50% due the 20th. We'll hit add schedule. That'll include it there. So $750 today, $750 the 20th. I can add any additional notes and terms here. And then I could save it, right? And then I can send it, right? That's if I need to BCC or CC anybody. I want to use a phone number, text it, email. All this is here. That goes out, right? Pretty cool. Pretty cool in my opinion. Definitely has gone through many updates recently based on feedback, usage. So share with me what you liked, what you can find yourself using for yourself or for your customers. And because it connects with Stripe, PayPal, and we have other integrations within the payment section that you can look into yourself, it should be it will be sticky. That once they get familiar with it, they'll keep using it. It's hard to not, right? And that becomes part of that utility bill add-on. So now they got the AI chat, that's great, working part of their business. Now they got payments and invoices, great, working part of their business, both making immediate impact on their business with revenue because they're collecting revenue and they're collecting inquiries that they're converting into revenue. So it's a great, perfect match when you put these two together. But you can't put it together unless you know how to use it, how to tell the story, and how to help them see the value. And typically, seeing the value is letting them drive and experience it themselves. So I want to go into just two more things here that I believe are very important. So you can record, manual payments. You can charge a card. You can preview, and you could also share as a link. All here. You always want to make sure you're labeling your invoice. So we'll go John B. Corporate Audit Client, right? So that way, when I go to my invoices tab, I see here where it is. It's in draft mode. I can clone it. I can convert it to a template. Right? So here's the difference. When I hit send, here. Right, it goes from draft mode to now due in 15 days, right? Because I actually sent out the invoice. Sometimes you're running through this, your client's running through it, they forget to hit send, and it stays in draft, nothing happens. So you got to make sure that it was sent, and this is how you confirm that it was sent. If you need to avoid it for whatever reason, if you need to download a PDF or copy the link to resend it, you have these settings here when you click on the three dots, right? So that concludes the payments, which is so powerful. And we went over pretty much every component that will generate revenue and keep your client sticky. And again, if you're just learning about us, you haven't yet officially signed up for the 5-day challenge, you're missing out on some collateral that's part of the challenge. So like, for example, we have like some slide decks, some price comparison sheets that you can use, some lyrics, handful of goodies that are within the membership course itself. Go ahead and jump in there. And that's going to conclude day 4. That's going to conclude day 4. And now it's time for you to take action. You got to go create your first beta client now. You got to make sure the website's up, the chat widget works. You gotta really start from scratch. Now I know that you created your business AI lead sub account page, right? Your agency customer facing, that you're selling the service. You need to now create another sub account for the business that you're working with or you're going to pretend to work with, and go through that whole process so that way you know what it feels and what it takes to get it done. And as you do that for the first, you'll also be excited about doing it for your actual clients. And maybe you set up 3 or 4 beta clients just to, within your network, your friends or family, or just pick 3 random businesses just to practice with. And now you're feeling more confident and you're going to the market stronger. And that's what it's about. It's consistency. It's adapting. It's really understanding what businesses need today, which is automation, easy way to communicate with prospective visitors, clients, and get paid fast. People want to get paid fast so they can grow their business and pay their staff. So if you have any questions that, as you're watching this, maybe on the replay, if you have any questions along the way, go ahead and throw it in the chat. I'll be more than happy to get right back to you as we go through that. And my commitment and the commitment of our team here at High Level is that if you raise your hand for help, we're going to be there. So going to speakwith.us/success, log into your account, click Let's Chat, put in your question, your concern. It'll then move you to a Zoom room, and then you get in there, right? And that's where you start to see the experience as well, and you feel great, and then you start passing that energy on to your clients, And that's what successful software SaaSpreneurs do at high level. That's what they do. They start, they learn, and they grow, and they continue on. So y'all have been amazing. This is a little bit of a shorter day because we went over things that are a little bit more techy, but I want you to use this time that we're putting back in your day to get into day 4 of the membership course, take action, catch up on any loose ends within your website or your process that you haven't yet completed, and get to networking, get to setting appointments, and get to giving demos. Till tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern Time, we're going to bring this home with our retention and ascension final lesson Friday. And we're hoping and looking forward to y'all sharing your success stories. If you just joined the Facebook group, go ahead and throw in that Facebook group your introduction, whether it's a video, photo, or just a long form post. Let us know who you are, where you're from, your experience, and what you're looking to get out of this challenge. Till tomorrow, have a great